Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Basketball Bulletin. I'm Trevor Lane. Going to be talking some hoops with you for the next 45 minutes or so. We'll talk a little basketball. I'm sure we'll get some Lakers questions in the chat, but we'll be talking about everybody around the NBA. I'm also going to be keeping, of course, a little bit of an eye on the Dodger game as well, because we've got that starting up right now. But we got lots of stuff to talk about here. If you are so inclined, throw your questions, your comments in the chat. And if you haven't done so yet, please make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Donnie Freeman's going to be along joining me in just a moment. And he's going to weigh in on some of these things too. But what I wanted to really start with today is to get into this a little bit. Now, I'm not going to play this because I don't want the bad language police coming after me. Kevin Durant has himself a little bit of a potty mouth, but Kevin Durant said that LeBron James was happy that James Harden got traded to the Rockets. Said they were so happy that me, Russ, and James weren't together anymore. They were so happy. I know LeBron was so happy because we were on their ass. Well, here's the thing with comments like this. When you're Kevin Durant, you are who you are. You're an MVP. You've won it all with the Warriors. KD, as Ivan says, KD joined a team that was 73-9. Don't forget that. But one of the things that we can sometimes fall into this trap of, and I think now the Oklahoma City Thunder have become the poster child of this, of looking at potential and just assuming that it will be fulfilled. The Oklahoma City Thunder fell short in their chance to win an NBA championship. They had an opportunity to do it, but they came up short. And that was in 2012, taking on LeBron James and the Miami Heat. And because they had that opportunity, people started to predict that the Thunder would just keep going and keep rolling forever. They would eventually win a championship. Now, they did just win a championship. They just won it this past year. But that's not with Kevin Durant. That's not with Russell Westbrook. That's not with James Harden. That's not with anybody from the 2012 title team. But everybody back then was making the comment, they're going to be here for years to come. They're going to be this dominant team, kind of like what we're hearing about the Thunder right now for the future. But I think the lesson that everybody learned from the Thunder is that as wide open as your window may appear to be, you have to capitalize on opportunities that are there right now. You don't have the luxury of waiting. You can't say, we'll get them next time. Because there's a chance that there is no next time. And for those Oklahoma City Thunder, that absolutely wound up being the way that played out. The Thunder did not get that iteration of the Thunder did not get another chance. As young as they were, as exciting as they were for years picked to be the up-and-coming team. They got one chance. They blew it. And that was it. So when you look at this, it's Kevin Durant saying LeBron was happy that James Harden got traded. There are no certainties. Yes, the James Harden trade was part of the destruction of that Thunder team. And that was a huge mistake, I thought, to trade James Harden when they did. If you want to go back to the original article, Thunder got Kevin Martin, Jeremy Lamb, 2 first-round picks, and a second-round pick. Given what we know about James Harden now, I mean, that's nothing. You gave up Harden for nothing. And the thing that was a big mistake at the time of doing this is that the Thunder did this a year early. They did this a year before they had to even make a difficult decision on James Harden. They also had Serge Ibaka back then, if you remember that. But Kevin Durant's point that, LeBron was fortunate. They were worried. That's why they were happy that James Harden got traded. Boy, they were fortunate. They were worried. We were right there on them. Yeah, you made the finals, but you didn't win. And everybody thought you'd be a team to stick around forever. And yeah, it may have fallen apart because of the James Harden trade. That's certainly a piece to this puzzle. But there's no guarantee you're going to get there. There's no guarantee you're getting back to the finals, as good as your team may look. Look, we thought it was a lock. We thought it was a lock this past year that it was going to be Celtics Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals. Neither team made it. Neither team made it. All year, it was the Celtics and the Cavs, and then, neither team made it in the East. I think especially in today's NBA, there's more parity than ever. There's more opportunity for the unexpected to happen as a result of that parity. It's the way that it goes. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. You?
Doing good. We're just talking a little bit about Kevin Durant's comments saying that LeBron was happy when James Harden got traded by the Thunder to the Houston Rockets. He's making the point that Thunder team, they are now a cautionary tale against falling into the trap of, well, it's okay because we'll have lots of opportunities in the future. That opportunity in the future never came for the Thunder. Some of it's self-inflicted because of the Harden trade. But I don't think Kevin Durant can retroactively look and say, oh, boy, LeBron sure lucked out because our Thunder team, we would have been coming for you. There's no guarantee they were going to make it back there. Their team is the cautionary tale, is the proof that there are no guarantees, and potential is a dangerous word.
Yeah, they had some good playoff runs in the years following that, regardless of the trade, but you never know what's going to happen. Maybe you have a player go down or something like that. Maybe the Heat have a player go down. They don't make it to the finals that following year. You don't know if you certainly would get back to the point to have another matchup specifically. But I do think there's a little bit of hindsight in that for him, because when you look at that Heat run, outside of like the first couple years, I mean, the rest, firstly for the first year, which they didn't play them, but the first year, they didn't really have any depth at all. They kind of threw it together and tried to piecemeal it together. It didn't really work out great. They lost that year. They came back the next year, improved, and it worked out. But after that, D-Wade really lost a lot following that season. So they might have got back there and matched up and probably won. Like I wouldn't have seen that as being a stretch unless LeBron was able to kick it up to another level, similarly to how, they played against San Antonio and had some crazy stuff come down. Like who knows what happens at that point, right? But,
so you think LeBron left the Heat at just the right time then?
I mean, it was strategic. He knew what was happening. Like if you really go back to those series, there were series where Bosch was doing less than like a dozen points or averaging less than a dozen points, firstly. And I don't really blame him too much for that because his role was shifted around so much. But D-Wade clearly had not lost a step. He had lost multiple steps. The injuries had started to catch up to him. And he didn't play anything like a superstar anymore. He looked like more of maybe like a fringe all-star type guy at that point. But LeBron strategically left at the right time. But you can never really say what would have happened, but if he had stayed, and they didn't trade off Harden, who knows? But that Thunder team had a really good roster too. Like at the time, it wasn't just we traded Harden; it was we traded Harden also because we have Ibaka. So I can kind of understand a little bit of the logic, but it was still pretty crazy how Harden ballooned into what he was after that, and I don't know if he turns into that if he doesn't get traded. So. That's part of it too.
When you say ballooned into what is that a comment on James?
No,
what are you doing there, Donnie?
No, it's not. Okay. That's like I don't know what 8 years down the road where we talk about fat suit Harden.
Oh, when he wanted out of Houston, he just said, "F it, man. I'm gonna eat whatever I want. I'm gonna eat what I want." Man, I'll tell you.
No, they call it a suit because the second he gets to Brooklyn, he looks like he's back in shape.
Right? he must have been like the wrestlers, I'm talking about like the Olympic he's wearing the trash bags and all that kind of stuff to make weight. Then suddenly he emerges.
That's crazy
as the Brooklyn version of James Harden. All right, let me get it. We've got a super chat here. Mamadou, we appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Said, anyone else think the Lakers played Vando too much because he's always hurt and he can't shoot? Donnie, did you see that game last? I'm hoping that you didn't have to watch the fourth quarter. That was absolutely brutal.
I left at halftime to do something, and
smart choice.
They were up, and I checked my phone to see the score. I'm like, wonder what it's like. Oh, maybe I'll tune back in. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to watch this crap. I couldn't believe that had flipped on its head so badly.
It was, what was it? 37-8 was the score in the fourth. You scored 8 points in a whole quarter.
Ridiculous. Yeah,
that was insane.
I couldn't do that. And normally Normally I'll come back on just to watch anyway because I just like basketball. But I was like, I've been out of it for a little bit. We've been watching the show, and I needed to get back to it. And I was like, I'm just not going to put myself through that tonight.
I've never seen guys who are like battling for their spot in the NBA tap out of a game like that.
Yeah,
that was surprising. That was startling. But talking about Vando took a knee to the thigh. Jared Vanderbilt did, and was limping a bit after that. But I really think he's fine. It was not, there wasn't anything concerning when it happened. It wasn't, oh no, there was no contact injury or something like that. No, it was he got kneed just right in the muscle, and it surprised me that they told him, hey, don't come back in the second half. He did play after that. He played well, looked like himself. It probably just tightened up a little bit or stiffened up during the halftime. And they just said, okay, well, no reason to push anything in a preseason game. As far as he's always hurt, how much of that just comes inherent with his style of play, right? I mean, that's got to be a factor here.
Oh no, that absolutely could just be part of it. The way he is always going at 100 miles an hour and just complete energy the entire time, that definitely could be a part of it. He's dealt with injuries really his entire career, so sometimes it just becomes a trend for some of these guys. And maybe you're in the wrong place at the wrong time because of the way that you play. So that's probably mostly what it is. I think if he ever learned to just play with like 85%. And picked up the offense a little bit to be able to do that meaningfully, maybe some of these injury concerns would potentially go away. But I don't know about paid too much. I think there's a world where he's on a solid contract monetarily if he's able to be healthy, because he was an impact player for the run right before he got this contract. And it made some sense. You could have argued that maybe they could have waited and paid him for less the following offseason, but that Western Conference run or the season directly after that half season after they got traded, they clearly, all those guys, including Vando, of course, clearly came in and really impacted the roster. And you saw it immediately, right? So I can understand that.
I think the thing that stands, it's the ugly green here on Spot Track at the end.
Oh, yeah, I forget.
Contract, the player option.
Everybody.
Right. Those are killer. Look how many there are. The Lakers love giving player options. I told Keith on the video that we did on Austin Reeves and his contract, some really exciting stuff in that. But I told Keith, I said, man, you might as well just throw a player option at the end of it because it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
With the way the Lakers have operated. But I think it's the years, and with the way the collective bargaining agreement shifted, it made it so teams are very allergic to long-term salary. They don't want that on the books unless it's clear the players of value on that salary. And if Jared Vanderbilt can't stay on the floor, or if he is and continues to be such a negative on the offensive end, teams would rather have the flexibility than have Jared Vanderbilt at even $11 or $12 million, even though that's below mid-level exception money. Now, if Vando can stay on the floor, and if the offensive game improves even just a smidge, then I think you're right. Then he's worth that contract because he really is a dynamic defensive player. He is a chaos bringer, and I think he's somebody that could help a lot of teams. You just can't continue to allow teams to completely ignore him when he's on the offensive end. It's just too much of a hurdle to have to overcome. So that's going to be the thing to watch with him this season.
Yeah, we've seen several coaches, and by several, I literally mean two, but JJ and Ham both struggle to find a way to use Vando on the offensive end to make teams actually respect him while he's out there. First it's let's put him in the dunker spot, but then you're putting him there, but all they're doing is putting their weakest defender on him because he can't defend at the rim anyway, so it's a wash. So it is what it is. And then otherwise, it's like, let Vando shoot. Let's try to get him to be a corner shooter guy. Like, let's try to figure that out. That'd be nice. But shooting is something that takes thousands and thousands and thousands of repetitions. It just takes time to develop that skill. And so while Vando's shot looks better, he's still probably a couple of years away from being a decent, at least at this current trajectory.
And a couple of years, then he's turning 28, 29. That's when we're going to see his
actually
start to wane a little bit.
The funny thing is it lines up with that contract year. He's gonna come into that contract year being able to shoot like 36% from three, meaningfully watch. So, but like he's still probably a couple years away, right? So I think what you really have to do is you've got to find a way to get him into more actions, to bring his defender into the action so they can't just sag off 10 feet off him and not care about him while he's in the corner. That means get him as the role guy in some of these actions, maybe put him as a handoff guy. Like you've got to involve him. And I think until then, I don't think anybody will ever respect him, and he'll always be a black hole on the offensive end. So with his only value truly being on defense, but he is such a positive on defense because of the way he's and he's also a great rebounder. I can't understate that enough on both ends of the court.
He really is.
He plays with so much energy. It's just really the offensive piece. And so like, if he's even mediocre, remotely average offensive player, I think he's just a good deal, and he's probably worth more money because he's such a good defensive player. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that he's going to be a really important piece this season for the Lakers. We'll see what he can ultimately do for the team, but he is a guy who has got to stay on the floor, has got to find some way, be a little bit better finishing at the rim, be a little bit better shooting the corner three. All the talk about his form's improved and all that. Well, the ball's got to go in the basket. He did hit 1 for 2 last night. But before that, in preseason, was not shooting particularly well. So we'll see if he does get better there. I think we will see improvement. Improvement also keep him. Everybody is so quick, and this is not Lakers specific. This is generally across the NBA. Everybody is so quick to just devour everything that we see happening in preseason and assume that that is proof of whatever it is that they are wanting or not wanting to see. If you're looking for proof that your guy is going to take the next step, you're going to find that play in preseason. Go, look, see, he's doing this now. It's going to put him over the top. I think we need a bigger sample size for these guys, Vando included, to really say, oh, he took a step forward offensively or defensively or didn't, right? If he shot, 2 for 10, I think he was, or maybe it's 2 for 12 from 3. That's terrible, obviously, but it's 12 shots, enough of a sample size to say he has not improved as a shooter? No. Probably not. And again, that effect is true, multiplied out across a number of players around the NBA, where with fans who are hoping to see some added wrinkles to their games.
Yeah, and Sky Falcon brought up that the shooting or the finishing does look improved. It does look like he's maybe a tick better at that, but that's also something that he's just got to get more comfortable with. I really liked seeing him take and go. That's something he's done in spurts.
Yeah,
but
did that a lot last night.
Yeah, because they didn't have any guys to really bring it up. He really did it a lot. I know last year we were calling that a circus when he would do that. Like it was, you never knew what was going to happen. He may drop off a good pass, or he's going to turn it over and do something crazy. It looked like he was much more under control, and much more comfortable with that. He grew up as a guard, so he's got to have some of those skills in there as well to be able to. And his handle is okay enough to be able to do it. He definitely doesn't look as clunky as some of the wings on the team do. When he's handling the ball either, some of the other wings, but he was looking really good with that. So that's another form of potential development. If you can rely on him to get the team into transition and make some kick out passes or something like that, that's valuable as well.
By the way, the Dodgers just took a 1-0 lead over the Brewers in game 3 here. So we're keeping an eye on that here as we're going. I think there's an interesting question here. Matthew said, what are other fan bases looking forward to the most? As a Thunder fan, and everybody in the chat can let us know, as a Thunder fan, I'm excited about the ring ceremony, as you should be, obviously, but I'm also excited to see exactly how much better everyone got. I think there's a lot of fans who are wanting to see, did my guy, did player X, improve his percentage? Maybe he improved his handle. Maybe this guy got better here, but got better there. The one thing I would caution is that during the summertime, and this, I've been doing this long enough to know we do this every summer without fail across the NBA. Fans of every team do this. We envision every guy on our team hitting the ceiling of what we predict or what we can realistically see for that player. And sometimes what we can't realistically see because we've got our head in the clouds. But it doesn't all happen. It never does. Mm-hmm. You never have a team where every single player where you go, oh, this guy's going to improve his game here, here, and here. This guy's getting better here. This guy's going to step up here. You don't get it from every single player. It's just not the way that it goes. Not everybody plays the way you think they're going to play. And some guys, while we project because we want to be optimistic that every guy's going to take steps forward, the truth is some guys do regress. But that is when you have a younger team like the Thunder still are, amazingly, is you've got a lot to look forward to in terms of the growth part of it. But it is, I think, still something that fans around the NBA look at. They look to see, oh, can this guy take the step forward? We're just talking about Jared Vanderbilt. Can he get a little better shooting the three? Can he get a little better finishing at the rim? A lot of fan bases are having those conversations right now. And that's certainly one of the initial points of intrigue around the NBA. It's how much growth did these players make?
Yeah, definitely. I was going to bring that piece up that the Thunder actually are unique because they're a team that won a chip, but are also so young still.
Yeah.
They've got some vets sprinkled in there, but their main guys are still really young, and they're not even like a guy like Chet. He's not even close to what he could be. So I really am excited about that too. Like I think that they could be so scary for a number of years just as these guys come into their own. And yeah, they've been away, right, for a while. You haven't seen them out there really going in a serious format. You've probably seen them in, preseason, but these guys are typically not going 100 and all that stuff. So you're going to see these guys go out there and show you what they've learned to do in the offseason. For some guys, that'll be getting better at ball handling. Some guys that'll be better at finishing, shooting, passing, maybe defense, rebounding. Like there's so many different skills on a per player basis they could get better at. And I think that's really exciting, especially when you got these young guys for sure.
What's a non-Laker thing that you're looking forward to for this NBA season? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but is there something that you think of that like one of mine is I want to see what Des Bane looks like in Orlando because I think he's such a perfect fit for what they needed. I think they gave up a lot to get him, but I'm really curious to see does Des Bane, not just by being a good player, but also being the exact skill set that they need, does he allow the Orlando Magic to ascend to that next level? That's one of the things I'm really excited to see this season.
Yeah, when you brought that up, the first thing that popped in my mind was rookies. I'm always so excited to see the rookies and how they look in the NBA environment against NBA competition. And this year we had a good crop of rookies, especially good group of guys that came in. And so I want to see what it looks like for all these guys. I want to see what it looks like for Bailey. I want to see how things look for Edgecombe. I want to see what it looks like for some of the guys that are like, team picks, like Hanson Young. I want to see him. That could be pretty fun, man. Like I
for
guys.
sure.
I want to see a lot, and I also want to see some of the things like with Cooper, for example. How are they going to take his development this year? Like they've really been trying to emphasize putting the ball in his hands and things like that, or is that the route they're going to try to go with him? Certainly in year one of his career, and what that looks like. What do the 2-man actions look like between him and a guy like Anthony Davis out there? Like what does that look like? I'm really excited about it. And I think that you could really go down the list and just name off a bunch of guys. But to me, the first thing that really popped in my head was just rookies. I also want to see, as a Laker fan, I want to see Thero. We haven't seen him at all.
Yeah.
He's nothing.
Much ado about nothing right now.
Stop.
I know. Somebody said, Corey said, Trevor's getting drunk. It is beer, but it's root beer. It's root beer. I found A&W Zero.
Oh,
and it's actually really good.
Yeah, I have that a lot. I like that, and I like the Sunkist Zero.
Yeah. Those are good. Those are good. So I don't know
Malo
why I
just sleeper. Like man, he's so athletic.
He is very athletic. Malawach, he was so good. The wingspan for lobs, and then he stepped out and he shot a 3, and I was like, he actually looked pretty good.
Yeah,
shooting that 3.
Yeah, I'm excited about these rookies, man. Oh, Wemby, that's another one too. Oh man, we didn't talk about it, but there's reports he's like 7'6" or 7'7".
Yeah, Wemby, it just feels like it's inevitable. Like we're going to hit a period where just nobody can do anything because of Wemby. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be the roadblock for the path for everybody else in the league at some point. Like it's coming. And I'll tell you what, it is so unfortunate that he's a San Antonio Spur. I was praying when that draft was unfolding and it got down to the Spurs or the Hornets that it would be the Hornets that would get him. But no. Didn't happen.
You can't do that to Wemby, man. You can't put him.
What? Put him on the Hornets?
You can't do that to him, man.
Just get him out of the West, man. Especially the Spurs. They already had Duncan. They had David Robinson.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Put him on the Hornets. Come on.
What? It's a nice place, Charlotte is. I'll tell you.
Sure, Charlotte is a nice place, but I ain't putting nobody on the Hornets. Okay, I'm just messing around. Obviously, he would be a franchise changer. They would become you can put them anywhere. They would become a very serious organization immediately. if Wemby went there. That would have actually been really good. Frankly, you need more guys like Wemby to go to two teams like that don't get those guys very often to just kind of spread that out, right? So I think that'd be cool. But just with the reputation they have, I kind of like him better in San Antonio with the structure and all that. And I know that at the worst, San Antonio will do right by him. So,
oh, sure. It's just from an NBA perspective, it's going to perpetuate the West being much better than the East.
Yeah, that I understood that. You were trying to talk about the Western part of it all.
Sure.
The West is loaded, man.
For his development, I think the Spurs are going to be really, really good for Wemby. And he is definitely something to keep an eye on this coming season. All right, let me go to another super chat that we've got. Appreciate all of these coming in. MJ said, JHS out of the league, fair or unfair? Dalton Knecht is next if he continues performing like this. Dress rehearsal, what do y'all want to see in tomorrow's game? So I'm going to record a podcast for Lakers Nation tonight, breaking down kind of what we want to see in tomorrow's game. I don't want to step on the toes of that too much, but as far as Dalton Knecht goes, he's aside from LeBron's injury, he's got to be the most disappointing part so far of preseason. Because Donnie, we heard all the it was his legs. He was exhausted from 3-a-day trainings, and now we've heard he's shooting better than 60% in training camp, and he's outscored everybody in training camp and all this. And then in these preseason games, he looks maybe not much better than what we saw in summer. He's still missing a lot of shots, shooting terrible percentages. Where are you at on Dalton Knecht? Do you still have faith?
I mean, I know what he is. I know what he can be. So that's where it's kind of annoying when these guys do this and have these stretches where they just look like a shell of themselves. It's like, I know what you can be. So you've shown it to me. Why would you show it to me if I can't have it? As KG once said. Why would you do that if I can't have it? Like, I know what this guy can be, and he's shown it several times, but something is going on with him right now. I know everyone says it's post-trade, this and that. I mean, whatever it is, it's time for him to get out that funk. It is what it is. Like,
I think this is kind of damning. Is Talk Franco saying Dalton Knecht struggles from summer league carried in preseason. Knecht leads the Lakers in minutes, field goal, and 3-point attempts, and is shooting 30% from the field and 23% from three.
Yeah, in 5 games so far.
In 5 games.
It's because sometimes he goes out there and starts chucking too. He has terrible shot selection, and he'll put anything up. So I think that's
what did he shoot? 38% from three last season?
Yeah, but those were not the threes that he's taking and getting now and in summer league. Like, those are very different shots. Like, right now, Dalton will take the ball and pull up on dudes. Like, what are we doing here? Or people are flying out to him regardless of where he's at. Maybe they're flying out to him. They're sticking him. But with LeBron and Luka on the court, they're not going to be able to do that. That defense will collapse. So, like, it's a very different quality.
So you think how much of his problem so far do you think is just he is better when he can be a spot up guy, catch and shoot off of Luka?
Well, I'm explaining that, but I'm not trying to give him an excuse because I think that's true for mostly any shooter.
Sure.
Like, I think that's true for Rui as well. Like, last night he didn't have a great 3-point percentage, but if he's ever out there with these guys, he's going to knock those shots down if you leave him open because he's great at it. Like, I think that's just true for any shooter. So that's not really an excuse, but I think it's maybe some of it for him. But I think it could be some confidence. I think it also could just be that he's out there with some of these guys that are not true NBA players, and he's got a better defensive assignment on him than he would otherwise. Like, I think there could be a handful of different things, but regardless of what it is, I mean, the single truth here is that Dalton is about 25 years old, 24, 25.
24, yeah.
24 years old. He was billed as an NBA-ready player.
Correct.
He showed it last year. We know what the guy can do, and I don't care what the problem is. He should be able to perform better than his. Like, if there's something going on mentally or something, I can empathize with that, but maybe this just isn't the right location for him and he needs to go elsewhere, right? Maybe that's what it is, and he'll be fine. But Dalton almost strikes me as the type of guy that wants to be on a bad team that he could put 20 points per game up on and get more opportunities to shoot the ball, get more minutes and stuff like that. I don't know if this is the right environment for that.
So while you wouldn't want to put Wemby on the Charlotte Hornets, you're saying put Dalton on the Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, he would have. You know what? If that trade wasn't rescinded, he would have ripped. You know what? Him with Brandon Miller. I forget about Brandon over there, but that would have been. They would have. They would have lit it up. I think Brandon was injured at the end of the season though. But
he was.
Yeah, like if they got a chance to play, they would have lit it up. So I think Dalton would play really good there. So. You missed out on Yves Missy. Oh yeah.
And from my sourcing, it was not 100%, but it was sounding pretty much like that was probably going to be their pick. Was Missy?
Man. Yeah, that would have been really nice, and he would have fit so much better than what
they weren't. They weren't expecting Dalton to drop. Nobody was.
Nobody was. So they kind of they hadn't even talked to him. They just grabbed.
They got trashed for passing on Cam Whitmore when he dropped the year before. I was like, man, we can't do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. The chat's saying that he's lazy on defense, plays no defense, etc. I mean, the problem with Dalton sometimes that he just looks lost. Like he doesn't on both ends of the court. He doesn't look like he knows where he's supposed to go half the time.
Mm-hmm.
And on defense, especially, he just looks out of position, doesn't really know where he's supposed to be. So I think you can offset that if you are getting the normal production you would expect from him. He's supposed to be a guy that can rip off, and we've seen it. Like I keep saying, he's a flamethrower when he gets hot. It's just he's not able to get hot, but he's supposed to be a guy that can get you 10 points easily. Right? He's just not able to do that.
It's not. I mean, the shots are just not falling. And people have said, there were scouts that were talking about him out in Palm Desert saying, his form looks great. He's got a beautiful shot. He does.
Yeah.
But the ball's got to go in the basket ultimately. And hopefully that does come around, because the problem with him defensively is that, we talk about Rui Hachimura and Rui gets lost off ball. Yep, that's true. That happens. When Rui has to make a lot of decisions off ball on a possession, he can get lost. But Rui, if he has to defend on ball, especially if a guy is kind of a big physical type, Rui locks in. And Rui will defend. Is he the best defender? No. But is he a turnstile? No. Right? He will put in the effort. It's more when he has to make multiple decisions in a possession that he gets in trouble.
Yeah.
Dalton Knecht, off ball, he's lost. On ball, he's toast.
Yeah.
That's
I saw a comment equating it to Austin. That's not exactly what you can expect with Austin. Austin is a good chaser. Austin is good running through all those screens. Dalton would die on those screens. Austin also at least puts in the effort. I think that's a really big noticeable thing. He may not be able to stick it to some of these guys defensively. I'm not calling him a great defender, but he at least tries. And he knows what he's supposed to be doing.
And he knows where he's supposed to be and what he should be doing.
Because defense is so team-based that that matters, right? If you can have everyone out there in unison moving the right way, as opposed to somebody out there that doesn't know what the heck they're supposed to be doing, you can have a far better team defense. And
you got to be on a string.
Yeah,
100%.
It just works better.
And that's what JJ Redick just talked about in that clip with Tim Legler.
About
how, hey, we don't have good individual defenders, so we have to be good team defenders. That's exactly it. Yeah. Okay, let's get into a trade here. Who says no and why? LeBron to Golden State, Lauri Markkanen to LA, Jimmy and picks / young pieces to Utah, or a fourth team. Yeah, I can't see Jimmy Butler wanting to go to Utah. I can't imagine that would be a good fit there. Like, you would have to have a fourth team involved.
LeBron to Golden State, Lauri to LA.
And remember, LeBron does have the ability to say no. He has a no trade clause. So he's a factor in this too. But would you, if you're Golden State, would you give up Jimmy for LeBron?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that. If you are the Jazz, would you give up Markkanen to get young pieces, whatever you could turn Jimmy Butler into draft capital wise?
You'd have to give up more than that, but because you have to match the salary, right? But to get back young pieces too, you'd have to.
Well, yeah, I mean,
what are these young
you would have to get an expiring contract or something like that coming in.
Yeah.
But if because I'm saying if Utah said, would we trade Lauri Markkanen to get Jimmy Butler? No, the Jazz would not. But that doesn't make sense for Jazz.
I was looking at the young pieces though, because what are these young pieces? Because the Lakers ain't got nothing to add to this trade. So
that's where you'd have to bring a fourth team in.
Yeah, they ain't got nothing to do. But I was looking at that because Jimmy already makes more than Lowry, so you're gonna have to there's going to have to be more here. But
And
I don't know.
It's a lot of salary too
Yeah,
to try to find a team that wants Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I don't know that would work. I think Golden State would do that, but I don't know about the other parts of this.
What about straight up, as far as Lowry to LA? Yeah, if the Lakers are okay with taking on the salary, but they have to be convinced that Lowry was going to be a long-term fit for them, and that the shooting percentages would come up as a Laker, which I think they would, playing alongside Luka. But boy, Luka, Lowry, and Austin. I'm not even going to say it, Donnie. I'm not even going to say it.
We're keeping Dalton and Maxey too, and Jake.
No.
Oh man, it's going to be great. You might as well send that team to Utah, actually. So the whole team
Let me ask you this though: if I think Golden State, if they had the opportunity, the Brewers just tied the game. Damn it! I think if the Warriors had the opportunity to turn Jimmy Butler into LeBron James, they would and should do that. If you were the Lakers and LeBron says trade me, and it's a effectively straight up Jimmy Butler for LeBron deal,
no.
Should the Lakers do that?
No.
Why?
Just because of the money. Really, that's it.
Because he's got another year on his deal.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy is a really good player, and I think he's a great chameleon. I think you could put him on any system and he'd be fine. And he's a solid defensive player still, obviously. And the Warriors were really good. And in those Jimmy lineups, especially in those no Steph lineups that typically fall off a cliff, Jimmy really kept those lineups afloat. He's a great player. Absolutely great. Mm-hmm. I just don't know that the Lakers wouldn't be better off having that salary space open the following season.
I'll tell you what would happen. The NBA would not allow a Jimmy Butler to LA trade. And I'm not talking about the Chris Paul basketball reasons. I'm talking about for television reasons. Because with Jimmy Butler's ability to draw fouls, Luka Doncic's ability to draw fouls, and Austin Reeves' ability to draw fouls on the same team, every game would take 3.5 hours for the Lakers.
Yeah, we're cooked. That's
every game.
Yeah, we're cooked. They may have to take that idea that's been floating around where you do the free throws at the end of the game. You just don't do any free throws until the very end and stick them all at the end because the Lakers can sit there and shoot 40 free throws.
Do you buy the Jazz saying they're not trading Lauri Markkanen?
We got a comment on that video saying that, he's got a family that doesn't want to leave and stuff like that. And the Jazz aren't truly interested in trading him. I'm sure that's true for a lot of guys where situations like
a lot of guys have families where they don't want to leave though.
Yeah, like I'm sure that's a pretty common thing around the NBA. I think what it comes down to is if they're offered something, especially something they think is like something they can't pass up, but a really good deal regardless, they would most likely bite on that.
Yeah, I think if they wouldn't, I think they should.
Yeah.
I think it's a mistake if they don't.
They were trying to play hardball with Kessler though, so I wonder if they would try to play hardball with Markkanen as well. I mean, there was some trade stuff floating around with him last year anyway.
Well, they tried to play hardball with every player.
Yeah, so I wonder about that. Do. So maybe not. Maybe you know what it is. Maybe they want him to get like 5 first-round picks, and they're offered 4 first-round picks, and they hold firm at 5 and don't trade him. Hypothetically speaking, right?
Yeah, I would not. I was going to say I wouldn't offer 5 first-round picks, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, they're going to try to set the price high, and typically what happens on the trade market is this time of year and all the way through into December, teams are out of the plate. They are very, very high prices right now. Because there's no reason not to. There's no deadline coming up. You might as well set a high asking price. And then as we get closer to the trade deadline, which is February 5th, those prices get knocked down a little bit. They get more realistic. We'll also say that the offers are pretty underwhelming this time of year. Then they're only going to increase and we get closer and closer. And then ultimately you get deals done. We did see some stuff get done in December last year. So usually it takes a little longer. I do wonder if we'll see moves take place again this year in December, if teams will be more aggressive trying to get stuff done earlier. But the Jazz setting a high price right now and saying, we don't want to trade him, nobody's presenting an offer right now that is worthwhile to trade him for anyway. So you might as well say we don't want to trade him, even if you really would. And again, I think that they really should consider it if they get if they can get his value up. There are a number of teams around the NBA, Donnie, that if Lowry shoots the way he did last season, are going to say, no, we don't want him on that contract.
Yeah. But if he shoots the way he did the year prior, they're going to say, yes, please.
Yes, exactly. Which is why shooting is such a difficult thing. Yeah. Definitely not a sticky stat.
As a 7-footer too, like I'm taking it.
For sure. Nate asks off of X, do you think the Lakers should have never rescinded the trade now with Williams and Dalton? I think they made the right decision, even with Dalton struggling, because they would have had to. Mark Williams is due an extension. The Suns will not give it to him because of his injury history. The Lakers could have done the same and said, no, we won't give this extension to you. You have to prove you can stay healthy, and then you'll be a restricted free agent. So they could have gone down that path. But either this year or next year, if you're going to give up all that to get Mark Williams, he needs to be a long-term piece to your team, and you're going to have to pay him. So we have to keep that in mind. And we have to look at what they were able to do afterwards and getting. I would rather have DeAndre Ayton at $8 million than Mark Williams at whatever number you're going to have to pay him at, which is probably going to be a lot more than $8 million. So I still think they made the right choice, though you'd feel a lot better about it if Dalton Knecht was just lighting up preseason, and obviously he's not.
Yeah. The only problem with that is that there's no way you can know that at the time.
Sure.
Right. That's the one thing about it. And you could argue maybe it hurt last season. Maybe, I don't know if they would have won or not, but hypothetically, maybe they would have been better suited if they had another big they could rely on, things like that. But, right now with what we do know, sure, right? That's the only problem.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight being 2020, but if they really got in and their medicals said, yeah, he's not, he's going to be dealing with issues, you're going to have to pay him. You don't want to commit long-term money to a guy that is not going to be that available. I mean, he's already dealing with availability issues. I don't even know if he's going to play opening night for Phoenix. They say he will, but he's not really done much.
Yeah, you were saying that the Suns are playing hardball. The Lakers could have done the same. You know what? This is actually a really good market to play that way in, because they could have potentially got him on like a Zion type deal, with all these different protections and stuff like that. Play X number of nothing like weight.
That's right. But like, make him play a certain number of games in order to guarantee parts of his contract.
Especially like the way that teams are like so unwilling to invest in these guys as well in the market and all that stuff right now. He would be an RFA, right?
Yeah, he'd be an RFA.
Yeah, so like he's not. This is the perfect market for that. So really, the Suns are really well positioned if they want to keep him, I think.
Yeah.
If they are creative with whatever their deal winds up being, I think they can get him on a really good value, assuming he's ever able to really be fully healthy and out there playing. But if the medicals were, we don't know what the medicals are, but if the medicals were, this guy is not going to last long, then sure, don't do it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So.
There's a conversation going on in our chat about defensively what the Lakers have to do in terms of who you put with Austin Reeves and all of that. Like saying you just need defensive wings. Do you need another guard or not? I will continue to say I think Luka is not a guard defensively. Offensively, yes, he's a guard. Defensively, he's not. And so you need, if you're going to have somebody who you're going to, and that I think is some of the confusion when we have these conversations, but I think if you're going to have somebody who's going to, on the offensive end, be your 3, Luka, you call him the 1, Austin's your 2, you're going to have somebody that is a plus defender at the 3. You'd ideally like that player to also be able to defend guards, because the way I look at it is defensively, they have one guard right now in Austin Reeves. And so you need somebody else on the floor that can also defend quicker guards. Whether that's a guard, a bigger wing. Jared Vanderbilt is 6'8", and he's capable of chasing some guards around. So it doesn't have to be a guard out there on the floor. You just need, whether it's a guard or a wing, doesn't matter. Just need somebody who is capable of defending the guard position when called upon to do that. That's all.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of those guys, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, and those guys are not easy to find. Yeah, as Smokey said, a point of attack guy. Yeah, and if that point of attack is coming from the guard position, then you need somebody who can deal with that. All right, let's do one more, and then we got to wrap it up here. Rui is not that correct. Yeah, Rui is not that defensively. Definitely not. Not that he's a bad player. He's not that, though, that skill set.
Yeah, last year they tried to stick him on like Ant and stuff in the playoffs, and it's just like, what are we doing, man?
Yeah,
it's just what
they were running out of ideas there.
Just don't do this, man. What are we doing here? It's more defensible when it's DFS, even though he's more of a guy that should be guarding up than down nowadays. But trying to do it with Rui is like, man, what are we doing?
Right. Exactly.
That's what actually all these forwards defend up now, huh? All these forwards are better just mostly going upward. If you're like a 3-4, you're most likely going 3-4-5 on defense.
We got this question said, is Dyson Daniels worth 150 million? If Keegan Murray is, Dyson Daniels is.
Yeah. Sure. Well, 150 million is not 150 million 10 years ago.
Right. If you're spreading that out over 5 years. Yeah. Now, if it's 150 million on which I don't think they can get there, but a 4-year deal, it's a different conversation. But
that's a lot of money.
On a 5-year deal, 150 million. Yeah, you're probably giving Dyson Daniels, aka the Great Barrier Thief, that. All right, we'll do last super chat question coming in from Kevin. Said, need to trade for Wendell Carter. Statistically, one of the most switchable fives. Defensively, very good in pick and roll player, good rim protector, good rebounder, proven playoff player. Didn't he get played off the floor in the playoffs a bit?
I don't know.
Potential stretch 5. I like, people will cite Wendell Carter as a stretch 5. He actually did not shoot. Now, no one on the Magic shot well last year, so it could just be that. But 23% from 3 last year, 32%. And I'm rounding up to get there for his career.
37 the year prior, though. 36 the year before that. So
he did.
In there. He's very up and down, though. Like it's 18, 20, 36, 24, 30, 32, 36. Like it's very up and down.
I think the shot creation on that Magic team was so bad that we have to take the poor 3-point shooting with a grain of salt. They had so many injuries that you just have to factor that in. When we look at block percentage, I mean, he did not have a good season last year. Block percentage, foul percentage, not good relative to other bigs in the NBA. Can he be a good defensive rebounder? Yes. When he's at his best, I think he can do the things that you're talking about. But the most recent season, we just didn't see that much out of him. But we didn't get that out of a number of Magic guys because things were so clunky, and it's part of the improvements that I think bringing in Des Bane will make. I don't mind Wendell Carter as a trade target for any particular team. I think he can be just fine. I just think people fall into this idea that he's this dead-eye knockdown shooter, this rim protecting big, and he's kind of was neither of those things last season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's got some of that stuff in there. I wonder where that statistically one of the most switchable 5s comes from. Is that coming from like B-ball index or something? I'm not sure exactly where that one is coming from. But regardless, though, I think he's got some of that in there for sure. My problem with him, or my concern with him, would also just be availability. He's on average missing 20 or so games, more than 20 games in his Orlando stint each year. So,
yeah, I mean, look at the games played by year.
Yeah. Last year was a better year. In fact, last year at 68 was the career high. So yep. I would be concerned about that as well.
I don't dislike Wendell Carter, but I don't have him as the end all be all either. Like, is he the problem solver for all that ails you at the big position? I would think probably not.
I think a 2-man tandem of him and Ayton could be good, though.
Could be, sure. Better than what they have right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. It'd be the best front court depth they've had in 6 years.
And I've somehow found myself as like this Jackson Hayes defender over the course of this, because I think people got too down on him, but we don't want to go crazy. Just would Wendell Carter be an upgrade for sure? Yeah.
Well, like I said last time I was on LN, I genuinely think that a lot of people are down on him because he got played off in that Minnesota series.
Yep.
Whereas I think if they played somebody like Golden State, he would have been a stable for 20 minutes a night.
Very fair.
Like I think that since that's recent and what we saw, you can't really say anything about that. So no matter what he does, people are just going to be, and I don't think he's great or anything, but I think he wasn't able to be used in that series specifically. I mean, we saw that in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
There were the bigs on the roster didn't just all play. There were series where one or both of those guys was not getting big minutes, and they leaned on AD a lot at the 5. They leaned on Markieff a lot. Nobody ever talks about Markieff. They leaned on Markieff a lot in that stretch, and there were situations where it was only Dwight in. It wasn't JaVale in, and some other they were doing that too. So that's a normal playoff series thing. So they just didn't really get to see that come to fruition last year because they got bounced in the first round.
Speaking of which, we are expecting to see LeBron back mid-November ish.
Sounds about right.
We'll see how he changes things and what that ultimately looks like with the whole rotation. I think will shift when LeBron James is back. All right, everybody, I got to run, but appreciate all of you for joining us here today on the Basketball Bulletin. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications as well. Thank you again, everybody. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with all kinds of content from around the NBA. Till next time, everybody, see ya and stay safe.